I'm writer, musician, and amputee Christa Couture, and I love the thrill of travel.
Yes! It's cold on the butt.
Can accessibility and adventure coexist?
First motorcycle ride ever.
A great trip is an immersion of all the senses. Sight.
The latest season of Postcards From, hosted by Christa Couture, will take you on an adventure across Canada while witnessing them through the eyes of Christa and her sensory experiences. She is a proud queer Indigenous artist and writer, and now on-camera host, who joins us now here on TMS. So good to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, so season 5 of Postcards From premiered this past Wednesday. Tell us more about what we can all experience on the season.
So it's an accessible travel show. It's got all the things you would expect from a travel show. You try the food, you try the local culture, but we focus in each segment on a different sense. You know, so there's a segment for sight, a segment for taste, a segment for sound. The idea being that, you know, it's a more inclusive experience because some of us are going to be coming into travel with maybe a different barrier or a different disability. And so what is a way to come into a travel experience?
Mm-hmm. And to that point, just last week, May 16th, was a Global Accessibility Awareness Day. Can you maybe just talk to us a little bit more about how you hope this season, this show will help when it comes to opening the conversation, when it comes to accessibility, especially through the lens of travel?
Yeah, I think it helps in a lot of ways. I mean, representation is so powerful, right? So just on that first level, you're seeing like on the big screen or the little screen, my disabled body, me as an amputee, and I think that alone can help people go, oh, what's that like? Like if they don't have someone with a disability in their life. So the representation piece on its own, I think, is really huge for media to have these stories and to have people with disabilities represented. And then in all the places that I traveled, I feel like there was a sort of local impact because maybe I would go to a venue and they hadn't thought about, oh, this isn't accessible. How can we, you know, bring you in here? Mm-hmm. And so there's sort of opening people's eyes to the barriers that they maybe just didn't notice before, right? And then once, it's like so many things, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So as people start to notice where there might be restrictions or barriers to people being involved in an experience, like that's how we can make some changes as we go along.
For sure. In the first episode, we see you visiting Drumheller.
Yeah.
And you hadn't been there, you hadn't been back since you were there with your mom in '91?
That's right.
What was that like?
Drumheller was amazing because in this season, we chose some locations because I'd never been there and it would be something new, and we chose some places that I had a personal connection to. And so Drumheller I'd gone to with my mom when I was 12 years old. I had just finished chemotherapy and radiation for the bone cancer I had at the time. And so this was like a hopeful moment in my family's life. I was on the other side of cancer treatment. My hair was growing back. I was going into grade 8, you know, and we didn't know at that moment that my cancer had come back. And so it was just like 2 months before I would then have the amputation of my leg, which was the cure for my cancer. I'm very lucky. But at the same time, this, you know, huge loss, huge transition, set my life on a new course. And so that trip to Drumheller, I now know, looking back, that was sort of the last time that I was going to have a trip in that two-legged body, climbing cliffs and doing things that I wouldn't get to do again in the same way. So going back now as an adult and revisiting that place it actually like brought up even some grief that I didn't know I had, but also like I kind of like, oh, this is a beautiful place. I loved it then, and now I'm back in this body and I'm getting to have a new relationship to it.
Yeah, as you sit here and you talk about your journey and tell us a bit about your story, Christa, I think one of the words that comes to mind is resilience. Where does that come from for you?
God, where does resilience? I mean, resilience is bittersweet because I think we only discover our resilience through suffering, right? Like, you don't know how resilient you are until something horrible happens. And then you're like, wow, I got through that. Okay. I didn't know I had that in me. And so sometimes I hope for people to not have to discover the resilience. Like, I want us to be soft. But I think, you know, through my experiences, being a cancer survivor, other losses in my life, I have discovered my resilience. Although I like to think of resilience as very like contextual and not an individual trait necessarily. Like my resilience has come from my community, from resources that I've happened to have, my social location. Like there's all of these things that contribute to how we survive or thrive, right? And you know, even that I live in a city with access, with the care that I need for my disability. And so I think that's all part of resilience, is like what can you access internally and around you.
This has been, we needed to have Christa come in on a Monday for Monday motivation. We're closing it. We give you motivation on a Monday and a Friday.
I'll take it on a Friday any day, because what a lens and what a perspective to look at this through. I mean, really.
Yeah, cool.
You can watch Postcards From on AMI TV and AMI Plus. Christa, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.